Well, this morning, President Biden's social spending plan is shrinking as lawmakers scramble to find an agreement before he leaves for Europe today. But party members are still split. The bill is tied to the bipartisan infrastructure bill, a nearly $1.2 trillion plan. Progressives are hoping to pass both simultaneously. Congressional correspondent Stephanie Liebergen live for us this morning in Washington, D.C. Stephanie, good morning to you. Any hope that things wrap up before Biden gets on a plane?
Good morning, Veronica. Well, it's certainly possible. We are waiting this morning for the Democrats to have an in-person caucus meeting at 9 o'clock this morning, where presumably the highest thing on the agenda is going to be this big social spending bill that they've been trying to put together for weeks. Now, a big thing in that meeting, President Joe Biden is expected to come to the Capitol to join Democrats in that meeting today. The expectation is that he's really going to try to push the progressives to go ahead and vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill now instead of continuing to waiting for the legislative text of the social spending bill or for an actual vote to make it through the Senate. Now, Biden coming to the Capitol again to pressure Democrats really just shows how much urgency the White House has and Democratic leaders as a whole really trying to get this bill done and get it put together. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi had called for the Rules Committee to hold a hearing on the big social spending bill today. Now, I haven't seen that on the House schedule just yet, but if that happens today, that would potentially give us our first look at any sort of legislative text for this bill, and it would really be the first step in getting the social spending bill to the House floor.
And regardless, Stephanie, something is going to end up on the chopping block. What aspects of the bill were negotiated, maybe even eliminated last night?
So it seems like the paid family leave plan that some Democrats were really pushing for yesterday is not going to make it into the final bill. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand had been really negotiating directly with Senator Joe Manchin, trying to get him on board, but it seems like and the efforts of other Democrats in the caucus were unsuccessful at convincing Manchin. Another thing we got last night, it seems like the billionaire's tax that was, in the mix for less than 48 hours is already out again. Sounds like instead of a billionaire's tax on, assets and stocks and real estate, they're going to, potentially levy a new tax on income of the, for the wealthiest Americans. These are people making millions of dollars a year. Some things we do still expect that are in the bill. Free pre-K, something we've been talking about for a while, has been pretty consistent and steady. Is something that is going to make the final cut, as well as expanded health care provisions and climate change investments. Now, the latest top line number that has been rumored, it sounds like they're about $1.75 trillion right now in the top line spending for the entire bill. But again, everything is still in flux, and it's not over until it's over.
Yeah. The political wrangling has been going on for weeks now. There have been a couple holdouts, especially when it comes to Manchin and Sinema. So how close are leaders when it comes to actually finding an agreement here?
So House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has been saying for days now that 90% of the bill is written, that a lot of this is really ready to go. But it's been those final details that have been a problem for weeks now, really. We've been talking about the same things: health care, family leave, climate change provisions, what the top line number is going to be. We've been talking about these same things. It's just been a matter of really getting Democrats on the same page, getting them all to agree to whatever the final provisions are. Now, we could get information just later this morning. The White House has scheduled a speech for President Joe Biden at 11:30 this morning, and after his caucus meeting at 9 a.m., but before he leaves for Europe, that could be a big, important speech where we could get some more key details.
All right, 11:30 a.m. Eastern is when he will be speaking. All right, Stephanie Liebergen, always good to see you. Thanks.